There are two most prominent figures in the Torah. One is Avraham, Abraham, the first person to be called a Jew, the father of Klal Yisrael, the father of the people of Israel. That's the story of Avraham, and then his descendants Yitzchak and Yaakov, etc. And that is mostly the book of Bereshis. And then in the book of Shmos, the book of Exodus, begins a story about Moshe Rabbeinu, about Moshe. And he becomes the main character and the main protagonist of the story. And it's interesting to notice the difference between the story where they're spoken about in the beginning of their being chosen, Avram to be chosen to be V'eschal Gadol, you become a great nation. The beginning of Klal Yisrael, the beginning of the people of Israel, and Moshe Rabbeinu as the first redeemer. We know that deeply everything that exists in the Torah, everything the Torah describes, exists within a particular time and a particular space, and it's talking about a particular person. But since these things are interrelated, time, space, and consciousness, Olam, Shana, and Nefesh, are all interrelated. And in the world of Yichud, the world of unity, the moment, this present moment right here in this particular place, on the level also of consciousness, includes everything, all of time and all of space and all of consciousness. So everything that it says in the Torah, everything that we read in the Torah, this is brought down very strongly by the students of the Baal Shem Tov, that every single aspect of the Torah, every single place, and certainly every single character, every single description of a particular person in the Torah also describes our own self, a part of ourself. There's a Magen Avram, for example. There's a part of Avram within every single person that's protected. We say this every single day. There's also there's a nitzis, a spark of Moshe within every single person, which is the emunah of a person, which the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya. So there's a Moshe within every single person, and there's an Avram within every single person. That's what we want to focus on. We know also that the events that's being described in the Torah are not only events that happen in a particular time period, thousands of years ago, the way it was described, but they're events that are continuously happening on a spiritual and an inner level. So let's start off with the story of Avram. The story of Avram, which is very peculiar because the Torah doesn't give us a backstory, why Avram was chosen. It doesn't tell us that Avram was a very compassionate person, or Avram was a very intelligent person, or he was a spiritual seeker. The Torah starts off speaking about Avram, saying that there was a person, Terach, which was his father, and they leave, and the Torah describes that Vayer Hashem Avram, Hashem speaks to Avram as if almost suddenly, and tells him, Lech lecha, you should leave Ma'artzecha, from the land that you were born, Maladecha, Ba'artzecha, from your country, from the land, from the place of your birth, from your father's home, to the land that I will show you. And that's the immediate beginning of the story of Lech Lecha. To go, to move, Lech, to go. To be a mahalach, to be a person that's constantly moving. To where? Where are you moving? You're going lecha. You're going for your own benefit, for your own benefit, for your own pleasure. To become who you have to become in this world. You have to journey, you have to move, you have to grow, lecha, to your own soul, to your level of lecha, to your own inner self. And lecha means alone, to go on this path, this hero journey, to make a move. And the deeper understanding of Vayom Hashem Avram Lech Lecha, and the reason why Avram was chosen on a deep level, is not that he was chosen and therefore he heard the voice that said, Vayom Hashem al Avram, Hashem told Avram, Lech Lecha, you shall go. But it's actually the reverse. That Vayomer Hashem speaks to every single human being from the beginning of creation. Hashem spoke to every single being from the beginning of creation and said, Lech Lecha, go. Go out of your father's home, go out of your comfort zone, go out of the place of your seichel, of your intelligence, what you think is true now, and your emotions and the capacity of what you feel now, and go onto this journey. Lech Lecha, go to yourself, become something, discover yourself, move forward, journey. Be a mahalach, be a person that's constantly moving. Vayomer Hashem, Hashem says Lech Lecha, Hashem said Lech Lecha, and continues to say Lech Lecha from the beginning of time. Vayomer Hashem al Avram lech lecha. The greatness of Avram was that he was able to hear that voice. Avram was the first person that the Torah describes that he was able to hear the divine calling, the calling of the Baskal, of this divine echo that echoes throughout all of creation, that tells every single human being, Lech lecha, go, become, journey. So on one hand, we see that what is the definition of Avram? And for that matter, what is going to be the definition of what it means to be a Jew in this world? What it means to live as a child of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, a child of Avram, a child of Abraham, means to be a mahalach, to be a person that's constantly moving, constantly growing, never being satisfied, never being okay with the status quo, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, always to continuously push ourselves, to move, to grow. We say in the Haggadah, one of the things that we say on Pesach night, the night that we are birthed as a people, when there's a birth of Klal Yisrael, we say, in the beginning, which in the beginning means both in conception of time, but also the idea of beginnings, always saying that it's just the beginning. In the beginning, our ancestors, which means deeply us, we were idol worshippers. And what was the definition of the idol worship? And then the Haggadah explains that across the river, on the other side of the river, your parents settled. That what is the idea of an Ovid Avodah Zarah, a person that's serving an idol? Someone that's stuck, that's yashvu, someone's in a place of settled. Someone that says, I'm okay the way my life is right now. Someone that doesn't live with dreams and with hopes and possibilities and with future, but says, whatever I have now, I'm okay with it, I'm satisfied. That's a form of idol worship, because what you're worshiping, you're not connected to the Lakim Chaim, the living God, the living expression of the divine that's being expressed in every single moment from new. A new life force is coming into this world. You're stuck with the old and you're comfortable with the old. V'achshav, and now, a person that lives in the present moment, a person that lives in the now. V'achshav kivana Hashem l'fnei hamakim. And now Hashem took us. And we're close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, close to the Creator, close to the Ein Sof, close to infinite light. And what is ve'ekach ve'oilech, that Hashem took us and we are going? That the definition of what it means to be a Yid, to be a Jew in this world, means ve'oilech, that we're going, that we're moving, we're mahalach. We're doing halacha, we're practicing halacha. Halacha means law, but it literally means also halicha, something that's moving and growing and developing. So we're constantly developing, constantly moving, constantly growing. So that's what it means to be Avram, and that's the story of Avram. The story of Avram is that he's a mahalach, that he's a journeyer. He constantly is on a journey. And there's always a higher place to go, a deeper place to go, something more to explore. Whether it's spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, at any level of self, there's always something deeper to move, always higher and always deeper. This is one way of thinking about. And this is the way that the Torah describes what Avram is. But almost counterintuitively, but almost the opposite you see with Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe also has a revelation of sort, where Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen to be the redeemer of Klal Yisrael, the people to take them out of Egypt, to allow the people to experience alicha, allow the people to experience a true movement away from their constriction, away from their place of enslavement and limitation to a place of expansion, to go to Eretz Rechava, to go to the land of the expansion. So when Moshe Rabbeinu is chosen, the Torah describes the event is that there is a burning fire, an eish, a fire, and the fire is in the thorn bush. And the fire does not consume the bush. Normally fire consumes. In order for fire to exist, it has to consume wood, it has to consume oil, it has to consume some type of substance in order to maintain its existence. And here, what Moshe Rabbeinu saw is that the divine fire, the name Eka, the highest light, the light of Keser, the light of the highest light of the divine, was being revealed in this world. And yet miraculously or mysteriously or paradoxically, the sneh ein ukol, the sneh did not become consumed, which means the sneh, the thorn bush, still remained a thorn bush. And Moshe Rabbeinu saw this, and the same idea, just like we say by Avram, that the call of Vayom Hashem al Avram, Lech Lecha, the call that Hashem says is to Avram, you shall go, is this, and it's a call that every single person is being told This is a voice that's being expressed to every single individual person. The same thing also the story with the burning bush. The burning bush is the fire of Hashem that we see, or we could see, in every single moment of existence. Every single thing in this world is, on a deep level, is the fire of the bush of the sneh, of the thorny bush. Because on the one hand, the divine presence exists there. That's why it's the Aragon, is the hidden light. There's the light of Hashem present within every single thing of creation. And yet, sometimes and often we see the world, we observe the world, it seems that it's a sneh, it's a thorn bush. Usually we think when there is the light of Hashem, the light of love and compassion, the light of giving and the light of life is revealed, you would assume that what would happen, that the light would cancel out and completely destroy the negativity, and there wouldn't be a thorny bush. And yet, Moshe Rabbeinu sees, and this is the truth that every single person could see, because the revealing, or the idea of the burning bush, is the existence itself, the physical existence itself, on a deep level, is the burning of the bush, which means that the divine presence rests within the world, and yet does not cancel out the world in a way that it reveals only goodness and kindness and love and compassion and divine light. It actually sometimes reveals the opposite, which means the sneh, the world itself, sometimes still feels itself to be as a thorn bush, and yet the presence of Hashem is alive and present there. So when Moshe Rabbeinu stopped and paused and observed, Vayar Hashem kisar liyah, say the Chassidic rabbis, that what the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu was that he was the first one that stopped and noticed. Just like we say by Avraham, that the greatness of Avraham was that he heard that calling, the calling that has been said and continuously being said to every single individual person. But he's the one that tapped into it and attuned himself and connected to hear that divine sound. The same thing also Moshe Rabbeinu. The sneh is always ein okal. There's always a divine light, Torah ganos, that's revealed in this world in a concealed way that allows for the thorny bush to exist. Vayar Hashem kisar liris. Moshe saw, Hashem saw, and Moshe stopped, paused, and took notice. And then Vayom Hashem, Moshe, Hashem speaks to Moshe. So why was Moshe chosen? Moshe was chosen because he paused, because he was settled, because he took notice. He stopped. He became mindful. So almost the opposite of Avraham. Avraham is chosen, and this deeply means that this is our purpose, to be a mahalach, to be a mover, to always constantly grow, to do, to be, and to express. And Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen, and Moshe was chosen, which is also a lesson to us, because there's a spark of Moshe, the Shaper Kamina. There's that year of Milsa Sutra say that the awe of God is a small thing because we have a nitzvah of Moshe, a spark of Moshe within us. So there's the element of Moshe, which is the element of pausing and waiting and being still and taking notice, and being mindful. So it almost seems like there are contradictory emotions or contradictory postures in this world. One hand, we have to be a mahalach, we have to be a person that moves. On the other hand, we have to be a person that constantly is being still and taking notice and pausing. And the answer, of course, that we need both. And the depth of this idea is that in order to do correctly in the world, in order for us to express and to be a mahalach, to be a mover, and to constantly grow and move in this world, whether it's physically moving and growing and expanding and exploring, whatever we want to do in this world, that place of movement, and we should constantly be a mahalach, and we should never be satisfied. And if you have 200, you should desire 4, and certainly this is true on spiritual level. On one hand, that's a true. If you have 200. If you have 100, you want 200. If you have 200, you want 4. And you should always desire more and long for more and yearn for more and grow and be and expand, be a mahalach. On the other hand, the Torah is saying that your movement should not be harried, should not be frantic, should not be in a way that you don't have any sense of presence or any sense of mindfulness or any sense of pause within your life. But the expression of doing should come from a deep place of pause and a deep place of being mindful. A metaphor, a mashal of this idea, is something you expressed in the past, is the idea of one of those older games that was called a pinball game, pinball machine, which you had two flappers, two swishers on the side, and you have a ball that's falling down. And the objective of the game is to keep the ball up. So the ball comes flying down, and what you do is you knock the ball up, and then it flies up for a few more moments, and then it comes tumbling down. Now, if you can play the game two ways, and this is the game of life in the same way, you can play the game of life in two ways. If you live from a very harried space, in a place of swiftness, Vavata Meher, the Baal Shem Tov says you have to lose this idea of swiftness, which means that you're constantly hurried and not thoughtful. The way you live your life is that the ball of life keeps on falling. You're not sure from which direction it's going to fall. And it seems like what you have to do, your objective is to flap the ball, to swish the ball upwards. And the moment the ball is coming down, you right away hit the ball. Where the ball is going to go, you have no idea. But the main thing in life, this is the way you're thinking, is that I'm doing something, I'm moving. So you swish the ball up, and then it hits another direction, which is something totally unexpected. And it comes from a totally different direction, and then you have to hit it again. And a lot of people live in this very frantic state of consciousness, this very frantic state of mind, which is they're constantly waiting for the ball to drop, and they're constantly in this alert state of this flight and fight mode that right when the ball is going to hit or come down, they're going to right away push it aside. Something happens, you do this. Something else happens, you do the other thing. What's going to be the consequence of this particular action? You'll find out tomorrow. But at least I did something in response to what life was presenting to me. But then there's a deeper way of living. That true you're mahalach, true that you move, and true that you grow, and true that you hit the ball and you move it upwards. But before you hit the ball upwards, every single time you're about to make another step, another movement, you pause and take notice. You let the ball fall onto the flapper, fall onto yourself, so to speak. You take notice, you pause, vayashem kisar lidos, you wait, you settle your mind. You say, what is exactly life presented to me? What am I experiencing right now? And what is the best response to this particular thing that's happening in my life? And then you intentionally and with focus and with mindfulness, you choose where you're going to hit the ball. And then the ball doesn't just fly up and come to a direction that you're not certain and come flying back to you from a different direction, but you actually know what the consequence, more or less, what the consequence is going to be from your actions. So you put actions into this world based on a certain sense of pausing and being present. And this is what the Torah is saying. This is what the two biblical characters, the two Torah characters, what they represent as this archetype, which Avraham is a mahalach. Constantly Avraham is a mahalach, constantly going and moving and traveling. And this is a physical travel and an inward travel and constantly moving, constantly growing. That's on the one hand. But the Torah is saying that predicated on the state of movement, predicated on the way of doing in this world, has to be a certain sense of how we be in this world, to settle, to experience it, to feel it. I'm experiencing something hard happens to me. Don't push it aside and move to the next thing. Allow yourself to experience it. Pause, take notice, even if it's a painful experience. Just to push it aside and say, oh, it's not true and it's not an experience, let me move to the next thing and try to distract it. It's not true. It's going to have an effect on you. So any experience that you're having in your life, take notice. Be mindful. Pause. Sarlias. And then Vayashem Kisar, Hashem sees that you chose to pause, then you become the redeemer. You become the instrument of your own personal inner redemption from the exile. You become the little Moshe Rabbeinu within your own self. Because then when you're doing in this world, and you're expressing in this world, and your wants and your desires, and the halich in this world, and the movement in the world comes from a place of your being and your thoughtfulness. So Hashem should bless us all that we should have the wisdom and the awareness to always understand that we should how to pause, how to settle, how to assimilate ideas that are happening, to truly integrate the experiences that we're experiencing, not to necessarily push them aside. And like the Torah says, sometimes when a person is in a state of mourning, you should really mourn. You can't say, oh, I'm not mourning because I don't feel mourning and it's not really valid. No, when you mourn. And then you choose how to undo yourself in the mourning. So you mourn, B'chiyah is for 3 days. Let's say crying is for 3 days, and the mourning is for 7 days. And there's a process of shloshim, a process of 30 days. Everything has to be done in a correct way. There has to be movement. You can't get stuck in certain patterns of behavior that you're so stuck that because you're experiencing something negative in the past or something even positive in the past, you can't move forward. And you just want to live in your past because then you're avodah zarah, then you're idol worshiper. You're worshiping your past and you're not moving. There's no movement. You have to move, But you have to move from a place of being, from a place of pause, from a place of settled, that your life is not harried and chaotic. Hashem should bless us all.